Well, the message was basically about FCA, number one, about supporting FCA, supporting the ministries that they do locally, as well as, I mean, it's a national worldwide organization, but the thing they do with youth and really using sport as an avenue to spread the gospel. So number one, supporting them in that, but also talking a little bit about the topic of race and racism. I wrote a book called Under Our Skin recently, and it really tackles the things that we're seeing on the news in the last few years about race and riots and protests. And, you know, just we come from so many different backgrounds that a lot of times we don't understand each other. And so my hope in writing the book was really to facilitate intentional conversations, honesty when it comes to this topic, and really try to start bridging that gap.
And athletes really can make that choice whether they want to stay in the spot or stay out of the spotlight when it comes to things off the field or use their voice to speak up. Why were you compelled to speak up?
Well, I think anybody can make that choice. I mean, athletes, firemen, broadcasters, whatever it is, everybody has a choice whether they want to talk about certain issues or not talk about certain issues. I've always felt that I wanted to be honest about, you know, my feelings about certain things. I want to be respectful about certain things, obviously, but I feel that coming from a place of truth, I have something to offer. And you're not going to appease everyone. You know, people are sometimes going not to agree with your opinion, and that's their right, and that's fine. But I do think that it's important when you have an opportunity to speak truth into someone's life, you have an opportunity to engage and to promote certain conversations, that I'm going to take that chance. That's the decision I've made.
And when you became a professional football player, did you ever think that that would be tight end and author? Did you ever?
No, I didn't, never. You know, when you first get into the league, obviously you're just trying to make the team, you're trying to learn the playbook. You are out there with grown men, and your head's on a swivel. You have no idea what's going on, so you're focused on playing football. But I didn't think that I would become an author, but I'm really, really honored, I think, to be one. And it was something that happened so quickly and surprisingly. You know, 2 years ago this time, I wouldn't have told you that I would write a book about race, but certain things happened, namely Ferguson, Missouri, the things that happened there. And I wrote something on Facebook that kind of went viral. And from that, this book is kind of an expansion of that. And it happened just like that. But I think it points to the fact that, you know, we don't ever know what doors God's going to open and when.
What sort of dialogue would you like to see about race in this country?
Well, first of all, honesty, and second of all, we come from different sides. Your experiences as a white woman are different than mine as a black man. But even though our experiences aren't the same, if I come to you and say your experiences aren't true, I do you a disservice and I put you immediately on the defensive. Same thing with you. You coming to me as a black man saying, you know, my experiences are this, and this, and you say that's not true. I know it's not true. I get on the defensive. So I think part of the conversation is a certain human compassion that we need to have to listen, even if it's not our experience, to what someone else has to say. Also, when it comes to this issue, having intentional relationships with people that don't look like us. And so if I experience my whole life in a very homogeneous state, when I'm around blacks all the time or you're around whites all the time, it makes it very hard for us to even approach that topic and have that conversation and to see a different view, even if we don't agree with it. Ultimately, I think that really we all need a heart change when it comes to this topic, and exposure takes us but so far, but being able to have an open heart to someone else, that kind of takes us the rest of the way.
I like that a lot. And also we saw you talking out there to Austin Robertson,
Yeah.
local football player. He's going to Michigan State.
Yeah.
What did you guys talk about?
Talked about the grind of training camp. You know, I just, you know, as a football player, he's immediately somebody who I can relate to. He can relate to me. He's going to go through a lot of the experiences that I've already been through. So being able to talk to him about going on a college campus for the first time and being the athlete, you know, the first time on the football team, which, you know, is very visible, that sort of thing. Making good decisions when it comes to what you decide to do on and off the field. Talked to him a little bit about school, talked about his family. I mean, I've never met him before. He happened to be here. And so immediately, you know, somebody told me about him. I said, yeah, I'd love to meet him because you never know. I mean, he could be, well, I'm not going to be playing for 4 more years, but I was going to say he could be a teammate of mine, but I'll be like way too old to be playing football at that point. But I told him to keep in contact with me because I'm definitely going to follow him.
And how do you see yourself as being kind of a role model for young black men especially?
Yeah.
I mean, you're an NFL veteran at this point and an author now. Do you see yourself as sort of a role model to young men?
You know, I number one, I want to be a role model to my children, number one. You know, as a father of 5 kids, as a husband, that's my priority. Number two, as a football player, we have a unique relationship in that locker room. And so we're able to speak in a way to guys that you can't. And people that aren't in the locker room just can't. You know, we can relate on a certain level. So I was fortunate to have role models, fortunate to have guys who I looked up to on the field, but also in the way they handled their family, the things that they did off the field, whether it be charity work, whether it be in their churches or whatever it is with youth. I had guys like that. And so it is a privilege for me to be talked about and looked at that way. I think that you don't start off intentionally trying to be a role model, but I do take that title seriously, because in this day and age, and in any day and age, but everything is so visible now, and I want the younger generation of football players to at some point say, you know, people are looking up to me now the same way I looked up to Benjamin Watson, and not that Benjamin was perfect, but Benjamin tried to do things in a way that were respectful and a way to encourage other guys to do the same thing.
Who were your role models then?
My role models, guys like Mike Vrabel, guy named Mike Vrabel. I played with a guy named Richard Seymour, guy named Don Davis that I played with the Patriots. On the field, just football-wise, my favorite football player ever was Jerry Rice. He's the reason why I wanted to play football. But my number one role model was my father. My dad, Ken Watson, he pastors a church in South Carolina right now. Father of 6 kids. Him and my mom been married for 35, almost 37 years. And so he has always been my role model when it came to manhood and what it meant to be a father, what it meant to be a husband, what it meant to be a friend, and a leader in his community.
And just kind of wrapping up a little bit of what we said earlier, just talking about you're choosing to use your voice to talk about the issue of race. Do you think it's important for other athletes to do the same, whether it be for stuff like FCA or whether it be in other areas?
You know, I think that's important, again, for people to get outside of their box and find things they're passionate about and be willing to take a chance. You take a chance when you talk about faith, or when you talk about, everybody can talk about charity, but we start talking about things like faith, we start talking about things like marriage or fatherhood or whatever it is. You know, there may be some pushback at times, and I don't feel like every athlete needs to talk about it. I don't feel like every person needs to. I think that that's a personal choice that you make, how much you want to write about it, how much interviews you want to give, how active you want to be when it comes to these certain social issues, racism, whatever it is, how active you want to be. I don't feel like everybody has a responsibility to talk about everything. But I do feel like if you want to, be willing to do it and be willing to stand on truth. And you know, sometimes people are going to not like it, but a lot of times you'll be surprised. One thing I found since opening up about race and opening up about faith and things like that, that there are thousands and thousands of people who feel encouraged because I've said something. And it wasn't because of me, anything special I said, but the fact that I said it, they came out of the woodwork and supported me, and there's a lot of people who are thinking sometimes the same things, but they may not have the word to say it. So if you have a gift to do that, I would encourage people to do it.
And then one last question, because you did play for the Patriots, you started your career catching footballs from Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tommy boy.
What do you think about the NFL or the courts reinstating that 4-game suspension?
Yeah, you know, I think it's something that obviously the NFLPA, which I'm part of the NFLPA, we are going to fight to protect our players. Roger Goodell is judge, jury, executioner. Neutral arbitration is something that we've been fighting for a very long time. It's something that we hold very dear, and we'll see what happens. I mean, we've got a long time before games start being played, but this is a process that you know, we feel as players, we want to protect the rights of our players. And so I can't tell you what's going to happen in it. I wish I had a crystal ball. I don't know. But I do know that as a union, we are going to fight to protect our players.
And I knew that this appeal process was more about who did he have the right to put down that 4-game suspension, arbiter. But knowing Tom Brady and being in the locker room with him, did you think that he intentionally knew that footballs were deflated?
In my 6 years, and I've said this before, my 6 years there, I never knew a football was inflated or underinflated or anything like that. That wasn't my experience there. I can't speak for when I left, but you know, I know Tom as a person and as a player. He's still a good friend of mine, And when I was there, this was nothing that I would have thought to happen.
All right, do you have anything else that you want to add?
I don't, but I wish I could come and enjoy Fort Wayne for a little while longer, but I'm only here for a few hours. I'm on my way home. God bless you, Fort Wayne. Thank you for your hospitality.